everyone, it's Anu here from Stimulus Coaching. We are career advisors and coaches. We're based out of London. And today our topic for the webinar is cybersecurity. And we're talking to Tanya Janca, the founder of VIAJE.com. They're based out of Canada. And now let me introduce you to Tanya. Tanya, very welcome to our show.
Thank you. Thank you for having me, Anu.
Most welcome. So Tanya's company, VIAJE provides application security training to IT professionals and has also written a book recently, and we will talk more about it. So Tanya, we know that today cybersecurity is paramount. It's so important to be secure online. And the risk is going up many times because we are connecting through many devices. The networks are more complex. There's more transactions, etc. So tell me how you got into this industry and where your interest started in cybersecurity.
So I was a software developer. Most of my family members are software developers or some type of engineer or scientist. And but almost all my uncles and both my aunts were programmers. So then when I announced I want to study computer science, they were all responding with, obviously, of course you would. And so I started programming at a young age, and as soon as I turned 18, I got a job at a software company. And I did that for a really long time, for around 16, 17 years. And I went to school for it as well. And then I met an ethical hacker. He's a penetration tester, so that's what they call it. But basically he did really intense security testing on systems and websites and web applications. And he said, you should try this. You'd be so good at it. And I said, no way. Software development's the best. But eventually he convinced me to start trying it. And he hired me for my first job. And I got so interested in the puzzle of why can't we build secure software? Because I don't understand why it's such a hard problem. And so, yeah, I got more and more interested in trying to help solve the problem. And that's how I got into it.
And about your company, when did you start the company and what's the vision?
So I actually started a different company last year, and we were making a software product. But like many startups, it did not work out. And so then I was trying to figure out what I would do next. And I had done security training a bunch of times. And so people actually wrote me and they said, you should start a security training company. And P.S., can we hire you? And, so many people asked me to do that. So I decided to do it. And basically, I wanted to make really accessible training that's easy to understand, and training that shows you how to do your job. Because I find a lot of training that I took, so I would speak at lots of conferences and I would find my way into lots of different training. And some of them would focus on skills you needed to do in your job, and I liked those the best. But then there were a whole bunch of them where it was just, here's this cool way you can hack that, and here's this other cool way you can hack this other thing. But it wasn't like a strategy that I could apply as part of my job. And so basically our company is trying to develop, so we've released some courses now. We're only a few months old, but basically we want to show people, like software developers, exactly how to make secure software. And we want to show people how to become what I call application security professionals.
Is there a prerequisite for somebody who wants to take your course? Do they have to be software engineers or IS professionals? How does it work?
So you can't really step into application security. You really need to have some experience with IT. So a student who's studying software engineering, they would be able to take our courses, or someone who took a programming boot camp, someone who works in different areas of IT. So let's say someone that does help desk, but you don't need to be an amazing programmer. And so basically, if you want to add security to things, you need to understand the thing you're adding security to, because it's an advanced thing. So someone who's in high school if you would like to be an ethical hacker someday, you actually, an ethical hacker, ironically, doesn't really need to program that much compared to an application security professional.
Mm-hmm.
So an ethical hacker, someone that does security testing, that's sort of a little part underneath all of application security. And application security is all sorts of jobs, including security testing.
Sure. Okay. And so what are the types of courses or levels do you have to offer? Is there a foundation, and then
Yes.
how does
Actually, I feel like you read my mind, Anu. We just released a little mini program called Application Security Foundations. And it is literally the foundation of all the things that you need to know to start doing applications. Each level becomes more advanced. So there's 3 levels. We talk about if there's a security emergency. So if someone attacks one of your applications, we call that, well, we call the response to it incident response. So we talk about that and like what to do if there's an incident. And we just get more and more advanced with it as the 3 courses progress. And then after that, the courses we're releasing are more kind of hands-on keyboard, if that makes sense. So there's all these different tools that are used within our industry. So tools, for instance, to find all the different software that you have. Because believe it or not, Anu, really big companies make software and then they forget that they made them. It's actually a really big problem that, or some software developer makes something, but then they don't tell anyone, but that's still a potential problem. And so we go through all the different types of tools and you get to use them and play with them and learn about them. And then there's exercises. You have to go and try to find the software, or you have to go and try to secure the software, etc. Because I want someone to know how to do everything. But we actually have a roadmap that I'm looking at on a piece of paper, and I believe that there are 35 courses that we are planning, and this is our first year. So we're definitely releasing 3 this year, but next year we're releasing a whole bunch more.
That sounds logical. And it's a lot of hard work. So I think that's already a long way, even in your first year. So
Thank you.
Congratulations to you and your team.
So all the lessons are 5 minutes, so that you can just do 1 lesson per day if you want to, or you can sit and you can do many, many lessons. So we have big modules, but each video is 5 minutes, and then there's a written component to it. And then after you do a few of them, then there's a quiz, etc. Then there's assignments. But I wanted to make it so that if someone's working full time, they can still do it. If someone's doing something else at the same time, they can do it, or they could sit down and just complete the whole thing over a few days.
Okay, excellent. All right. And what's the typical profile of people that you get on your courses?
I would say that most of the people who are taking our courses right now, because we're only a few months old, so we've only had a couple hundred students, most of them are either people who are software developers, people who want to try to work in information security or cybersecurity, people who want to become an application security engineer, or lots and lots and lots of people who are already application security professionals have taken my courses. And it's strange, I've gotten a lot of feedback where they told me, like, listen, I've been doing this 5 years. That was awesome.
Yeah, absolutely. So here things are getting more complex. There's more technology, there's more devices being added onto the network, and the cyber criminal is sort of becoming more and more sophisticated.
Yes, they are.
Yeah. So what are some of the recent trends that in application security, just for people's knowledge briefly, so things that have got your attention?
Definitely. Okay, so there is an attack called credential stuffing. So we have so many different accounts online, all these different web applications all over the internet. And what lots of people do, like average users, is they use the same password everywhere because they have trouble remembering their passwords. And so criminals figured out, oh, if we hack into this one site and we get everyone's passwords, we can rob them, which is obviously bad. But really smart criminals figured out, oh, you know what we could do? We could use those passwords on a whole bunch of different other sites. And that is called credential stuffing. So they break into one site and then they take all those username and passwords and they try them across like hundreds of other sites. And unfortunately, it works really well. So then really smart criminals, I wish the really smart ones could just work for the good people. They figured out that so lots of organizations have these silly rules called password rotation rules. So every 90 days or whatever, they try to get you to change your password. And users are thinking, well, I can't remember 500 different passwords. And if you're going to change it on me all the time. So what they would do is that they would just add a number to the end of it. So then these people doing credential stuffing, taking all the stolen passwords, trying them everywhere, they set up a thing that if it fails, add a 1 to it, add a 2 to it, add a 3 to it, until it gets in. And so that's called a rainbow credential stuffing.
It's very scary, isn't it? Because we do the same things with our passwords, and it's a no-brainer that we be slightly tweaking passwords, and it's all public knowledge. Is scary. We need to be much more cautious, I think.
Can I tell you a way that people can protect themselves against this? Okay,
Yes.
so there are 2 ways that you as an end user, a customer, can protect yourself. So the first one is get a password manager. So that's a piece of software. So there's free ones and there's paid ones. So get a password manager and then get it to make up your passwords for you. So the way it works is you just remember one single password to get into it. So you make it like big and long, like my name is Anu and I have a podcast. So that would be a perfect, very nice long password. And then it will just make up these huge, long, totally random passwords.
Okay.
And then when you surf the internet, you just press the little button and it just logs in for you to everything. So you don't have to remember any of your passwords. So that's awesome.
Yeah.
And then the second way that you can protect yourself is whenever it says, hey, do you want to have a 2-step verification or do you want to have multi or 2-factor authentication?
Mm-hmm.
When it will send you, a text on your phone or something like that, or there's an authenticator app, say yes to that.
Okay.
When you add that, then that means even if they stole your username and password, they can't get in. Right. And then you're totally protected. So if you do those 2 things, you're basically super safe.
I'm so glad we got talking about this topic. Thank you. Okay, Tanya, also now you have this very colorful little book out, which is called Alice and Bob Learn Application Security. So tell us about that and how that happened.
So I wanted to learn about application security and there was no book I could read. There were how to hack things, like lots of books about how to break things. And then there were 2 super cool books, like one about how to add security to like DevOps environments. And there's another one about how to add security to agile types of software development systems. But there wasn't really one about like, I'm a software developer and I need to learn how to make secure software, or I want to be an application security engineer. Like, where do I start? And so I just scoured the internet for years, teaching myself, going to conferences, having professional mentors and doing the work. And then publishers started writing me and saying, we really like your blog. Would you be interested in writing a book? And honestly, at first I was like, you're nuts. I can't write a book. What are you talking about? And then eventually I started kind of sketching out if I was going to write a book, what would I cover? And then I realized I had this huge list of things I really wanted to share. And then I spoke to, so the publisher I chose is Wiley, and the person that I work with, his name's Jim, and we had like a bunch of conversations about the type of book that I would want to give. So I'm actually dyslexic. So in Canada, I'm considered learning disabled. But I like to think that I just learn differently. Yeah. And so a regular textbook is just so difficult for me.
Yeah.
And so I wanted to make the easiest to understand textbook that I possibly could. And then I wanted to cover every single thing. So it could just be like your reference forever, if that makes sense. And so, so Alice and Bob are super famous in cybersecurity. So Alice and Bob are the characters that we always use as examples from the very beginning when we started cryptography. So when you send a message over the internet, so that people can't read it or can't steal it or change it, we encrypt it. And so when the brilliant math people that figured that out, they use these examples. Well, Alice wants to tell Bob a secret. How does she do that? And so for over 20 years, we've been using Alice and Bob. And so I was like, I want to name my book Alice and Bob Learn Application Security. And so there's all these like stories of, so Alice is an executive and Bob is a project manager and Bob has grandkids and Alice has diabetes and all these different things that affect their lives. And then security decisions and how they affect them. So it is a textbook. So it'll explain, you know, in the most casual language that I could come up with, different security concepts, but then a story happens to Alice or a story happens to Bob. And then I'll have a diagram or a flow chart that shows you a picture so you can visualize it. And then I'll have a story from me of something that happened. And then I try to explain it in code. And so basically there's all these different ways that people learn. And I was trying to do literally as many as I possibly could. Basically, you don't write a book to make money. You just don't. Unless you're famous, like, I don't know, like Michelle Obama, right? Mm-hmm. She's amazing. Yeah. I might have bought her book, but I'm not her. And so I'm writing a book because I want the book to exist and I want it to help people. Yeah. And I want to be able to go on the internet safely. And I want everyone I know to be able to do that. And so I felt like the best way that I could reach the most people would be to make it really easy to understand and make it kind of fun and enjoyable.
All the best with the launch. So Tanya, who are you targeting this book to? Is it at the professional already in the business or even starters?
It would need to be someone who already knows some of IT. So if someone is studying computer science, this book would be perfect for them. If someone already works in the field as a programmer or they work, you know, in different areas of IT, it would be great for them. If someone, let's say they're a project manager or they do management, this would really help them understand. So they could skip, you know, the code parts, for instance, but they could read all the parts to understand why those decisions are made, if that makes sense. I guess basically people can, like anyone could read chapters 1 to 9, 10, 11.
So great. So you got a book done, you got your training courses, you got your blogs going. So that's already, way ahead. So what's the roadmap? What's next for you?
So the next thing that we're doing, which is hopefully this fall. So right now we have a premium content service. So I blog all the time. I can't help it. I love writing and I love making videos. So even though I'm like writing a book and making courses, I still, you know, I'll read the news and a thing will happen. And I'm like, oh no, I have to tell people about this, how they can defend themselves. And so I give away a lot of that for free, but we came up with a thing for $7 a month where I send you just everything I do. Mm-hmm. So you get a whole bunch of stuff that's not public. And so what we're doing is we're turning that into an online community for learners. So I don't know about you, Anu, but when you go on Twitter or if you go on, you know, other different public forums, sometimes people aren't very nice. And I don't like that. And it doesn't encourage learning. And so we're making a community and it's going to cost more than $7, but it's not going to be expensive. We haven't figured out the exact pricing, but it's not going to cost a lot because I want everyone to be able to join. And the idea is, okay, so if someone's mean, we kick them out, first of all. If someone is, you know, saying very unprofessional things, they have to leave. But also, I want to create a knowledge base. So if you are at work, you can look up anything. I want to make it so if you're taking certain courses with us, that we put you with other students so you can talk about the exercises together and get help together and study together. I want to make it so that, you know, people that are super advanced who have worked in this field a long time can all meet each other and talk and then solve really tough problems. Okay. And then I want to also have, you know, calls where we all get together and, you know, we solve problems. I do a lot of these things already on Twitter. However, I find it's a lot less organized. I find that it's harder necessarily to reach people. I also find that sometimes people come in and they are unkind to new learners and discouraging. And that to me is, it's very sad. Wanting to learn should always be encouraged, whether you're learning piano or how to play guitar, or if you're learning how to create secure software. Like, and I want to make a place where you can go and always find the answer, because sometimes it's scary if you're a professional and you're working somewhere. Quite often you can be the only security person and you think, oh no, I have to know everything. No, you don't, right? So I want to create a place where you can always find the answer.
Sure.
And you can feel supported.
Yeah. So it looks like a very, very supportive and knowledge sharing kind of community. And good luck to you. And I wish you that you lots of growth and lots of users. Thank you so much for your time today. And it's been a pleasure talking to you, and hope to catch up with you sometime again.
Thank you for having me, Anu. I really appreciate this.
Thank you so much, Tanya. Bye-bye.